Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network, and I am here today. Guys, I had to stretch. Before the show today because I have so many victory laps to take. Let's go. All right, we're here. We're live on FanSpeak, and we're going to be talking about the week that was and looking forward to what I believe is the last NFL Monday Night Football doubleheader of the season. Two interesting games, two small spreads, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Oh, Tim, I didn't see that. Can you tell me a little more about that? I did see Belichick going at the Jets again, but that's nothing new. But while you find that for me, Tim, thanks for joining us, man. I'm always glad to see you in the chat, and I'm glad to hear that you're doing so well. The victory laps for me to begin on Thursday Night Football is my guy Bo Nix outplayed Spencer Rattler and got the win. Good to see the Broncos are 4-3. If you guys have followed my content, I bet them over 5.5 wins to start the season. That's going to be one of my best bets of the year. I won't be surprised to see if that cashes in 3 to 4 weeks. But, as much as I like to joke around about Bo Nix, let's be honest, the reason that team is winning is because of the strength of the defense. And I know we consider Sean Payton to be that offensive guru. 33 points, but hey, a lot of that was just because the defense did such a good job of putting that offense in position. Javonte Williams finally got on the board there with 2 touchdowns as someone I completely faded in best ball. It was one of those things where, hey, he finally had a big week, but overall, I feel like that's been the right call. The New Orleans Saints, Tyler and I kind of argued about them to start the year, and my only excuse for the Saints is they've been one of the worst injured teams there in the NFL this season. They lost both wide receivers, and they lost 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, and of course, their defense is banged up. Now, to be fair, the NFL is a war of attrition, and everybody's banged up at this point of the year, but I'd say that the Saints have had it worse than most. And the one thing you can say about the Saints is I don't know if their coach is strong enough, because when we look to Monday Night Football tonight, we're going to see another team that's perpetually banged up. But with Jim Harbaugh at the helm, I think they're much better equipped to handle those injuries than, say, Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. So, in the NFL, it feels like the quarterback is the most important position, but head coach is the second most important position. So, all right, Tyler, wasn't sure if I was going to have you here today. I was just going over the Thursday night game right now. Do we even want to talk about it? I felt like it was the strength of the Broncos defense. Even though they put up 33 points, the Broncos defense was the story of that game. What did you think?
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about there.
All right, let's move straight to Sunday, Tyler. I think we're going to have the same thing to say, because I'll tell you what, I woke up around like 5:45, and I thought I was going to be up for this game, and I closed my eyes again. Next thing I knew, it was 9 o'clock, and the final score was in. This Jacksonville Jaguars delayed the firing of Doug Peterson. They win 32-16, but to be fair, Tyler, I don't have much to say. I didn't watch it. My guess is you didn't either.
Yeah. I did not watch this on our breakdown show earlier last week. I said I'm not watching this game, so I have nothing on it.
And that's fair enough. I don't really know what we can learn. That's a tough spot for the Patriots. Drake May put up some pretty good stats, though, however, and I can see why they made that move. And we'll talk more about Drake May and the Patriots a little more on tomorrow when we're doing our bets for the week. Do want to pat ourselves on the back, though, Tyler. Another winning week and a couple games that I doubted you on. You were absolutely right. So I'll go ahead and give you your credit, but I'm going to expect the same because I got some victory laps to take. But, Tyler, let's start with some of these other games first before I really start flexing on everybody. The Cincinnati Bengals won 21-14. Tyler, this game was closer than the final score. Jameis Winston threw that garbage time touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go. But Deshaun Watson is probably out for the season. Are the Browns going to be a real team again? Because we've talked all year about how we thought he was the reason that team was doing so poorly. And I think that the Browns might have a little pep in their step with a player that they actually admire under center. Bengals moved to 3-4. Browns fall to 1-6. What were your thoughts?
Did they announce him as their starter? Because they told DTR to be ready to go the next few weeks. So I'm not even sure Winston's going to play. I think they're going to go.
How do you start DTR over Jameis?
I don't know. I think it's their way of being like, well, if Jameis plays too good, we have to play him next year when Deshaun's healthy. So I think it's all just.
Why are they shooting themselves in the foot? It's so crazy.
The owner.
It's a terrible.
Paying all this money, you got to play the guy. So they're not going to give another guy his job who's going to play better than him. So I think they're going to go DTR's route. I'm not sold on Cleveland. They still stink.
Yeah. I mean, it just – I had these guys to redo my bathroom, and I paid them a lot of money. But the second I realized I didn't like the work, I got rid of them, even though I'd taken a big L on the deal. At certain times, man, you just got to take the L. And it's too bad the Browns aren't going to do that. Let's look to the other side of the ball. Bengals – we talked about them being the best 2-4 team of all time. Are they now the best 3-4 team of all time? And do you think they're going to come back and make a playoff push here?
Yeah, I think they'll be in the playoff mix. I think they're going to roar back. I mean, they got the D tackles back. That's what they needed. I think they're going to work their way back up the standings.
All right, great. That's enough for that game. But I'll be interested to see if Cleveland becomes at least – not an auto fade anymore. I can't believe they would play DTR over Jameis. That confounds me. I couldn't even believe he came in.
Jameis wasn't even active yesterday. He was the emergency third quarterback, and he came in once DTR got hurt.
Yeah, absolutely wild. Okay, let's talk about the two most exciting games in the morning. The first one, man, I was rooting for the Vikings, but you were on the Lions. I bet the Lions with you. I didn't care about money. I wanted the Vikings to win, but it was not meant to be. Man, I thought we were in trouble on that Lions bet with that stupid fake punt there in the first quarter. But the Lions come back and get the win. Tell me what you saw in that game.
Yeah, I mean, the fake punt was definitely stupid to start the game. I thought we were going to have one of those games where it's like, oh, we bet on the team that's going to do all the dumb stuff. And then they roared all the way back. Sam Darnold did not look really good in that game. Sacked 4 times, threw a pick. And they almost lucked into a win, picking up a fumble and ran it back for a touchdown. This team isn't all that good, and it finally showed. Detroit was able to put it together. No. Huge mistakes in giving them points.
Okay, we've had a nice, peaceful show so far. 7 minutes and 53 seconds in. Let's go. Let's put on the boxing gloves. I don't think losing by 2 points to potentially the best team in the NFC makes you a bad team.
You picked up a fumble and ran it back for a touchdown and almost won you the game. And you had them run a fake punt on the first play of the drive, or your first play of your drive. Ensuing that, you ran for a touchdown. Those don't always happen.
Okay, but still, they have an above average offensive line. They have some of the best offensive weapons in football.
Quarterback is bottom 10 in
No, he's
EPA
not. He's 8th average now at least. No. You have a great coach. Thank you, Tim, for helping me out here. And you have one of the best defenses in the league. I still think this team's fine. I don't see why you don't want to give them their credit. They almost beat Detroit.
Yeah, it took a fake kick, a fake punt, and a picked up fumble for a touchdown at the end of the game that almost gave him a shot.
Yeah, but like a terrible team, look what the Lions did to the Cowboys. I mean, then I'll admit it, but they look neck and neck with them, and I still don't want to count this Vikings team.
I don't give credit to plays like that. Like, we'll talk about another game. How many teams block 2 field goals a game? Not a lot. Some teams just have luck shoved up their ass.
I don't think it's luck. All right. We're going to continue to disagree on the Vikings. So if you want to hear Tyler and I argue about the Vikings all season long, make sure you subscribe to the FanSpeak Network. That's right. This is the FanSpeak YouTube channel, your home for betting, props, and daily fantasy information. Of course, during the summer, we crush best ball, so you're going to want to be subscribed. Tyler, I've got some great advance rates going, and I've at least min cashed every week in weekly winner. Well, I have 2 lineups. I guess I can get knocked out. My worst one of 47 entries, my worst week is one main cash, and I've already 2 times my weekly winners. So I think I might max enter weekly winners here next year. And of course, if you're subscribed here on the FanSpeak Network, you'll see me break down as I'm trying to get to 150 weekly winners entries next year. That's my favorite contest now. And they have a DK one too. So maybe I'll do it on DK and not underdog. But let's talk about, do you think the Packers were lucky to get the win over the Texans? Because I thought they were. I thought those were 2 even teams. Talk to me about what you saw there as the Packers improved to 5-2. Texans fall to 5-2. Jordan Love, another big game, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I thought this game kind of went how I expected. It all came down to basically who had the ball last and who put the last points on the board, and that's how Green Bay was able to win the game. They kicked the field goal at the expiration. Mm-hmm. This game was going to be neck and neck the whole way through. And that's pretty much what it was. Mixon had a good day, cashed some props for us, and Green Bay was able to sneak out the win on their home field. Love's up to 13-1 to win MVP. Their Super Bowl odds are coming down. I really think that the Green Bay Detroit game is probably going to decide the MVP unless Mahomes just walks into it or Josh Allen gets it. So hopefully you got some golf and some Love tickets.
The Mahomes love is crazy to me. I do believe he's the best player in football, but the MVP award, we got to kind of reward statistical production, right? I mean, simply making great plays on third down, to me, I don't know. I mean, okay. I want to talk to you about, though, because it's 2.
I think Josh Allen's the MVP right now. That's my take.
I do too, because they're 3-14 without him. That team's really not that good. I mean, he's carrying that team on his back. I would agree with you there. And I do think Mahomes is the best player in football, but statistically, I just don't think you can reward him with the MVP this year. And does he care? All he cares about is getting that 3rd ring. He's not too worried about it.
Yeah,
you talked about that Packers and Lions thing right now. If I could only bet one to go to the Super Bowl, would you rather have a Packers ticket or a Lions ticket? Because, boy, I'll tell you what, the way that offensive line plays for the Detroit Lions, I might be leaning towards the Lions here.
Probably the Lions, but I mean, you're getting the Packers at a way better price.
So that's why you would bet the Packers, even though the Lions are, I mean, and of course, we talk about that in betting all the time, right? Boston Celtics will probably win the NBA championship again, but I'm not at that price. I would bet another team. And that's going to be a little preview for some of that NBA content that we will be doing moving forward. Anything more about the Packers and the Texans? Obviously, we talk about upgrade and downgrade for these teams. I mean, I think that both teams did fine, and we would leave their ratings exactly where they were at before the game kicked off. You agree?
Yeah, I'm not moving either of these teams.
Okay. Oh, man, let's talk about a game that I really pounded the table for, and I felt lucky to cover, bro. The Colts. How long are they going to try Anthony Richardson out there? I mean, at what point do they admit this is just a failed experiment?
It's a failed experiment, but they're built bad. They have no defense. Their running backs are banged up. There's just 2 bad teams facing off. That's why I wanted nothing to do with that game. Glad you cashed your ticket, though.
Thank you. I appreciate it because I'm very glad I cashed the ticket well. But I'll tell you what, Tyler, watching Richardson play, it's really tough to get behind him. I mean, he completes like 30 or 40% of his passes. Only thing good is like running. Oh, man, I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it. I'm getting Trey Lance vibes from this Anthony Richardson. And I'm wondering how much, if we know that, doesn't the locker room know that? Don't you think they're sitting there going, we got to wait. We got a chance to make the playoffs this year if you put Flacco in. And our careers aren't the life of a franchise. How do you think that's affecting the locker room, Tyler?
I feel like they don't think the same way we do, Spread. They just want a game. They're in the win column right now. They're not worried about, our quarterback threw for 30%.
Okay. Fair enough. And Miami, I mean, they're just a fade until Tua comes back, right?
Yeah, they stink.
That could be next week, though. It's going to be crazy how much he's going to turn that franchise around. And it's not that I think that Tua is that good. I just think the players they had backing him up are that bad. I mean, there's a reason Huntley wasn't even in training camp this year, was he?
He was on a different team. He was on the Browns.
Oh, was he? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake. Because I know that Miami signed him the week they started him. So it's
Yeah, he was on
not a
someone's
sign of
practice
good
squad.
preparation. And we talk about bad organizations, and it just feels like the Dolphins are a bad organization. All right, nothing
Yeah,
more on that
Dolphins
one, huh?
terrible.
All right.
Nah, I got nothing on that game. I figured we were done with it already.
Fair enough. We'll give you a victory lap here, Tyler. You insisted we played the Eagles last week. I was very reticent. I thought the Giants might be live in a division game. Bro, the Giants are a freaking joke. Daniel Jones gets benched. Saquon goes off, which we all expected. And the Eagles at 4-2, they're, we're kind of sleeping on this Eagles team, I believe. 4-2, when they look good, they look good. And the Giants suck. The Giants are who we thought they were. What do you think there? Do you want to take that victory lap on convincing me to bet the Eagles, even though I was about to make a mistake and bet the Giants?
No, I mean, I'm just glad you didn't bet the Giants. They stink. They're not good at football. They're the only thing they can do is sack the quarterback with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns. They can barely throw at the Malik neighbors anymore. That experiment might be over already. They're going to Drew Lock, who might just throw it up to him and just let him try and come down with it. They can't run the ball. They have offensive line pieces missing now. This team's done. The Eagles.
I think that was the big deal. They might have been able to be competitive, but without Andrew Thomas, and we talk about the drop off, right? Like, is Tua that good? I don't know, but when the next player is Tim Boyle or Huntley or whatever, he is that good. And I felt the same way about Thomas because he was an All Pro level guy, and you don't even have an average replacement. And the Eagles feasted on him there. A game that I'm glad we didn't bet because you remember I told you I thought the Falcons were the right side, but we didn't get there. And this is one thing I'll give us credit for, Tyler. I said the reason that I'm not taking Atlanta is they have one of the worst pass rushes in the league, and I felt that given time, Geno could look really good. So we talk about adjustments, right? And I don't think we've really adjusted off much that we saw so far in the games. Here's what I say about Seattle, and I was thinking about this last night after watching the game, and I was happy that Seattle won. I like Seattle. We should look the pass rush that they go against. The lower they are, the greater chance that we bet the Seahawks, right? So if we go against a team that can put pressure on the quarterback, I think we should be really wary of betting on the Seahawks. But when they're playing a team that struggles to get pressure on the quarterback, that's when we should consider backing the Seahawks as a quarterback. So when they're playing the teams with the pass rush win rate of 20 or below, let's consider taking the Seahawks. If they have, they're going against the top 10 pass rush, let's just go ahead and give it away. And let's also give the Seahawks credit. Their defense looked a lot better, getting a couple pieces back. And they don't even have Reek Woolen back yet either. So they could continue to improve. I know that you have the Seahawks ticket to win the division. And especially with the way the 49ers looked yesterday, that's definitely alive. And we'll be talking about the Cardinals tonight a little bit later. But my main takeaway is look at the opposing team's pass rush when deciding if you're going to bet on the Seahawks. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I mean, no pressure on Seattle. They're going to be able to move the ball. I know DK got carted off towards the end of the game, but they said his knee injury shouldn't be that serious. Kenneth Walker looked good. They got some pieces back on the D line, which helped them too. So they're able to score a defensive touchdown, and Atlanta just can't get pressure, so they were able to move the ball all game.
Yeah, and that's going to be the undoing of the Atlanta Falcons, a well-constructed team. I don't know if Meg's still in the chat, but I'll give you credit there. Kirk Cousins is playing well. He's playing really well, and I don't think the loss was on him yesterday. What happened to me was
your boy came in at the end of the game.
Pardon?
Your boy came in at the end of the game. I don't know how well he did or if he did anything. Penix.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that was mop-up duty. To me, the key to that game though was when the Seahawks got out to that early lead. I felt they became too one-dimensional. Because one of the reasons we all like the Falcons was that Bijan Algier two-headed monster, right? When they're playing from a double-digit deficit, I just don't think they have to respect the run. And that was one of the reasons that I felt the Seahawks got such an easy win. Anything more on that one?
And that's pretty much it for that one.
All right, my guy Clyde's in the chat. Clyde, we're going to be victory lapping the Chiefs here pretty soon, but not yet. I mean, do we even talk about the Bills and the Titans? You know what's funny, Tyler? When they announced Mason Rudolph, I almost bet the Titans at 10 or 9.5 what it was. So glad that I didn't. So glad that I didn't. Oh, my gosh, man. It must suck to be a Tennessee fan. You fired Mike Vrabel for this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure Mike Vrabel would have been much better with the quarterback situation there, so I don't think it's really the coach's fault. Canales is a really good coach.
It's not
I mean, the game
Canales,
kind of went how we talked
Callahan.
about it. It was Callahan. Yeah, I got those two mixed up, both with the letter C, but it was it went how we talked about it. It was either going to be a close game, and that's how it was the first half. It looked like Buffalo was maybe going to give Tennessee the game. And then Buffalo decided that they were the really good team, and they just opened it up on them, beat them up.
And Buffalo did that a
They
lot
never
last year
looked back.
too, right?
Yeah, but I think with Joe Brady running this offense, you're going to see a lot less of that because they like to run the ball. They like to protect it. They don't like to take shots. So I think once they get the lead, they're just going to stand on teams' necks and just not let them come back.
All right. That's the morning slate. Let's talk about all the commanding that was going on in Washington. It's the
Before
Washington
we even get to the
Commanders.
afternoon slate, the afternoon slate was absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. It was
Like I took a nap during the 4:00 games. They were absolutely terrible by halftime. The Washington game was over.
Okay, Washington game sucked. The Raiders ended up covering. So if you had the points, if you by the spread, it made it kind of interesting. And we'll get to my victory lap on the Chiefs 49ers first. But so you didn't really talk about those games. Obviously, the big story from the Commanders game was Jaden Daniels leaving with an injury. However, I think he's okay. And from what I was hearing, if it was actually a close game, they probably could have got him back out there.
They said he fractured his ribs, so my guess. They said he fractured his ribs, so my guess is he just couldn't get the torque on his body when he was throwing the ball. Because they showed him trying to warm up, and he threw one ball, and he instantly grabbed it aside. It's not one of those injuries that'll last forever. Maybe he misses this next game, but he'll be back right after that. So I think they'll be fine. And that offense still hummed with Mariota under helm. So I know Carolina is absolutely the worst team I've ever seen, but Mariota was still putting points on the board.
We lost to him.
That was going to be my next thing. How in the hell did you guys lose to this team?
I don't know. The only thing I can think is they were so fired up to not have Bryce Young under there. You know.
Yeah, I think
obviously,
that was it.
I think at that point that Adams was still on the team, and
it was the combination of Andy Dalton getting the start and jolting the Panthers, and you guys watching them just die at everyone's feet the last few weeks and going, "Well, they're just going to die at our feet too."
And I think that Adams was causing more problems in that locker room than we want to admit. Now the problem is the locker room might be great, but no one can get open besides Brock Bowers. One more thing about the Panthers, though, before I lament the state of my Las Vegas Raiders. I was watching that one yesterday. Like, why don't they just put Bryce Young back in? Like, why are we starting Andy Dalton anymore? What do you think? Don't you think they should just go back to Bryce Young? Why would I not just see what I got there? Why would I run Andy Dalton out there to lose 40-7?
I personally wouldn't go back to him.
You would keep Dalton.
You know your offensive line. You know your offensive line's bad. You have one wide receiver. You know he can't do anything with what's on the field. So why put him out there and ruin his confidence more? Because you're going to go back.
He's probably getting traded at the end of the year anyways, and they're probably drafting a quarterback.
So if you throw him out there for the last 8 weeks, I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they're going to try him one more time.
I think they draft a quarterback.
I think you need to fix the line before you put him out there.
Tyler, since it is Overreaction Monday, can we take a quick detour? Did you watch the college games on Saturday?
I watched the first half of Georgia just put their foot on Texas's neck.
But did you watch that? What's the kid's name? Beck? Is it Carson Beck?
Yeah, Carson.
He doesn't look like a first-round quarterback to me. I don't think either of those guys look good. I definitely don't want Ewers.
I mean, a lot.
I think both those guys played their way out of the first round yesterday.
I don't know if they played their way out of the first round as much as like you were playing an NFL defense. I mean, Texas even went to Arch Manning, and Arch Manning looked terrible. So I still think those guys are first round picks.
I don't.
I mean,
Especially not Ewers. Ewers looked bad. If the Raiders draft Quinn Ewers in the first round, I will throw up. And I haven't thrown up for like 6 years because I don't drink.
so you think Beck was a better quarterback on the field?
Yeah, but I mean, not by much. I tell you, I don't want Beck on my team either. I wouldn't draft him in the first round. I mean, if you got him in the second or the third, maybe, but he did not look good to me. He did not. I didn't see one like NFL level trait from him yesterday, especially because both those teams have NFL level defensive lines.
Tankathon
What's
with
up?
the 8th pick in the draft has the Raiders taking Quinn Ewers.
But they got to change that because I'm Team Sanders all the way, baby.
Sanders
I
goes
don't
second
know.
to Carolina in this draft.
Yeah, I think he might be the number. He might be the number one overall pick.
I think his teammate's going to be the number 1 overall pick, but I am not sold on Dylan Gabriel at Oregon.
Okay. Yeah, I don't honestly, Clyde. I get all my scouting news from like 5-star and the other guys. I don't really scout myself, but when I watched yesterday, I was just thinking I don't want either of these guys on my team. Okay, sorry for the detour, but I think the Panthers are going to draft a quarterback, and it might be the wrong year to do it. So you don't want them to put Bryce Young in there. I say might not. I mean, I was just wondering why he didn't go in the second half yesterday. At least see what he can do. I mean, Dalton wasn't doing anything.
He did play yesterday. He did play yesterday, but I would stop.
Yeah, but it was really late. It was like the last couple drives. He didn't look very good either. The Raiders covered, and that's why we hate laying 7. Because if you watch that game, at no point did you ever think that the Rams were going to lose that game. I said the Raiders were going to cover this game. Maybe not. Maybe if they didn't get that one false start and they actually went for it on the 4th down, because they probably would have failed. But that's why laying 7 is tough. Rams improved to 2-4. Raiders fall to 2-5. Rams are on Thursday Night Football this week against the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that's going to be a good game for the Vikings, although Cooper Kupp might come back. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this. Like, we already know the Raiders suck. I mean, what do we make of the Rams?
I don't think much of them. I mean, beat up on one of the worst teams in the league. You let them keep the game close. You can't really beat their pass rush, which I know is one of the better ones in the league. But if you can't win in the trenches, like I know I'm not high on the Vikings, but the Vikings are going to murder Matt Stafford on Thursday. Like, they're going to be in that backfield the entire game. They're going to blitz him. He is going to be on the ground. They're not going to be able to do much. So I'm not high on the Rams either, even with Cooper Kupp coming back. So probably win 7 to 9 games. I think 9 would be on the high side for them. What would you say?
I don't know if they get there. The line is so bad. The line is so bad.
I think they get to 7.
They play in a tough division too.
Is it really all that tough right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they lost to the Cardinals, and that's the easiest team.
Yeah,
they got smoked by the Cardinals.
That game was bad.
Yeah.
That game was bad.
All right. Are you ready, Tyler? Because I'm not going to shut up about this one. Why would you guys even consider taking the San Francisco 49ers? I was so right on this, and I was still pissed you didn't let me put it on the sheet. Patrick Mahomes moves to 5-0 against the Chiefs, and this Kansas City Chiefs team, right? I know they don't have no weapons and this and that, right? Their defense is top 5 in the NFL, and they can shut down anybody. They made Purdy look really bad yesterday. Debo quit. I mean, I think he really was sick, though. I'm not trying to disparage him. Ayuk's out for the year. Kittle's not enough to get it done on its own. And you've talked about Jordan Mason before, and we've agreed he's a replacement level back, right? You give him the good blocking, he's going to pick up the things, but he's not making anything happen on his own. And against certain teams, that's going to be fine. Like, for example, against the Seattle Seahawks with their depleted defensive line, it was fine. Mason looked great. But going against a top Super Bowl level defense, Mason doesn't add anything to the table. 28-18, the game wasn't even that close in my mind. I just felt like I knew the Chiefs were going to win the whole time. So I'm glad I got to cash there. And I'm just disappointed that you and Jamie didn't join me.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't.
It's here, Tyler. I want my props.
Scoring 2 touchdowns, Mahomes running in 1.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you could have your props, but again, I wasn't gambling on Kareem Hunt being the one that scores 2 touchdowns. Mahomes runs 1 in after lowering his shoulder into a D-back, and McCole Hardman channels back to the Super Bowl and scores a touchdown. They ran all their touchdowns in. Like, yeah, they won, but I wasn't. You couldn't tell me that you were banking on 4 rushing touchdowns from all those guys.
Well, the 49ers defensive line is
I don't think
depleted, and I know they have the big names, but they don't have the depth like they used to. This isn't the team that had DeForest Buckner and Eric Armstead and all the great DNs. They're almost like the Raiders, where they have that one elite pass rusher that could beat anybody and is a top 5 defensive end in the league. But then they're kind of average everyone else. Same thing with linebacker. They have Fred Warner, all-pro, arguably the best linebacker in the league. The other 2 are just all right. And I would say their secondary is like a little above average, but it just isn't the elite defense that it was anymore. And as someone who's been a big Brock Purdy fan, it was tough to see him really struggle against this defense here. Chiefs moved to 6-0. 49ers fall to 3-4. We know the Chiefs are the best team in the league, blah, 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 blah. What do we do with the 49ers going forward?
To be completely honest, I don't know.
All right. Well, that's fair enough. At least you're honest. I think they bounce back. I think the Chiefs are that good. And I think that because we think of Andy Reid and Mahomes.
How do you bounce back if I just tore his ACL? Debo's in and out of the lineup. You're already missing.
Well, Debo will come back. I mean, that wasn't an injury. He was stick to his stomach. Debo will come back. Jawan Jennings can come back as well.
It just more and more looks like that they're like a used car that just keeps getting more dings and scratches on it and problems, and it's just eventually it's going to die.
And that might be the case. They fall to 3-4, but like I said, they just took a loss to the worst team the best team in the NFL. I don't want to downgrade them too much. I'm trying to think, who do they play next week?
Let me look.
Yeah, let me pull the lines.
They have.
I think it's a great chance for them to get back.
No, they're at home for Dallas next week, Sunday night.
Oh, I thought Sunday Night Football. They're going to smack the Cowboys. What do you think?
Yeah, the Cowboys. Yeah, they're going to smack the Cowboys.
They always smack the Cowboys. I think they've won the last 4 times they played.
Yeah, and then you get a fun one on Monday night.
No, fuck. The Liners are -6 in that game.
Yeah,
that might be too much.
Just do the night teaser.
I might have to bet the fucking Cowboys. Excuse my language.
No, you just do the night teaser.
What, we do the Niners and the Steelers?
Yep. You think Daniel Jones will be able to throw against that defensive line?
He's not. I don't think he'll even start. It'll be Drew Lock, right? I think they're going to Lock for the rest of the year, right?
I'm not worried about Drew Lock.
I won't be either. All right, Tyler, let me get my final victory lap in, because I told you all that Jets game was not going to happen. I was Team Tomlin all the way, Tyler, and the only surprise was that I thought the Jets would at least keep it closer. But let me just reiterate the points I made last week. Devontae Adams isn't going to help that team stop the run, and they're not going to help the team block. They can't pass block. Rodgers doesn't have the mobility he used to have. He's a sitting duck in there in the pocket, and they can't block for him. Their left tackle is one of the worst left tackles in the league. So I don't care what Adams is doing on the outside. And yeah, Rodgers got his wish, right? And he got Robert Saleh fired. Like that was the problem. Well, look what happened to that defense. Because now Ulbrich has to worry about everything instead of just sitting in his room and dialing up the defense. And I also think that there's some pushback there on that defense. A lot of those players were really close to Saleh. Like I told you before, I think he developed a lot of them. I think he worked with them and helped them become the best version of the players they can be. And I don't think it's a surprise that they left and they're like, we chose this this guy is running our franchise. I don't think players like it when another player runs the franchise. Just like in basketball, I don't think a lot of players like playing with LeBron James. There's a reason that no free agents want to go play with them. And I think it's the same right now with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's serious pushback in that locker room. And I think a lot of the defensive guys are pissed that they're kowtowing to a guy that only put up 15 points. If you're so great and you're running the franchise, you need to perform better. This Jets team is in trouble. And this is going to be my last week I get to do this because I already messaged Meg. You look at the schedule, and they're probably going to win 3 of their next 4 games. And then you guys can shove it up me, But I just think this Jets team is a disaster. I think that shitty franchises are shitty for a reason. I saw Belichick on McAfee once again bagging on the ownership group because they have no direction as a team. This wasn't Robert Sala's fault that they lost. They fired him. And to be fair, he might not be the best head coach overall. But if he was really that bad, you should have replaced him in the offseason. The Jets are just a disaster on so many levels. It's just like if you let, I won my fantasy league, so now I get to be the GM. Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson are great, but you can't stop the run and you can't block the pass rush. How are you going to win football games? I'm out on the Jets. So there's my Jets slander. Do you want to respond to that, or do we want to move into Russell Wilson?
No, I mean, just my one take on this is probably never betting against the Steelers again, because every time I bet against this team, they do stuff that never happens in the NFL. I
just
really
bet
need to
against
look
them
up
every
the
week
last
and
time.
let them go. They can win the Super Bowl, and now all your neighbors will be happy.
I can't tell you the last time I seen a team block 2 field goals in a game. It just doesn't make sense. Some of the stuff,
but that wasn't the reason they lost. Even if they didn't block those field goals, the Steelers were the better team last night. They're better coached.
No, I understand, but it's like certain things always happen. It's just like love-hate relationship team with this team spread.
Okay, so Tyler, I've been bragging all day. I've been flexing on this show. One take I had last week that was pretty bad, though, was the Fields take. You can see why Tomlin made the move. And watching that game last night, I saw where Fields' development is not there. And it's the simple throws. Those little screen passes and those hitches to Jaylen Warren or whatever, he hits them right on stride. He hits it right when it's supposed to be there, and the play works perfectly. And it's so crazy how Fields can make all these explosive plays, but it's just his inability to do the simple things that we saw Russ do last night that are really preventing him from being a star in this league. And at this point, I don't know if he's ever going to get there. And I think that Tomlin talked to him and said, look, we're going with Russ, and you need to watch, and you need to see, and maybe spend some time. I mean, just little things like him hitting Jaylen Warren in stride. How many times did it feel like the Jets drew up the right defense, but Warren catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage and runs off like an 8-yard gain? I thought really I was wrong. Russell Wilson is better than Justin Fields at this point in their career. And Tomlin made the right move putting him in there. What did you think?
He played good, but I need to see it a couple more weeks. I mean, after the first quarter, you would have said he's the worst quarterback. That was the terrible decision. And then he's throwing moonball 50-50 balls to George Pickens, and Pickens is coming down with them.
So and Freiermuth is making one-handed catches.
Yeah, Freiermuth's making one-handed.
He looked like Beckham.
Catches. He's getting these dump off screens with a D lineman right in his face. That's like a millisecond away from a sack. So it's like, yeah, he got out of there with a win and he looked decent in the end. But let's not forget the first quarter where he couldn't throw a screen pass and the ball was 4 yards short of Calvin.
But that was also his first game in how long? I'm not surprised that he came out a little rusty.
I need to see more. I'm not going to go here and crown the guy because he did good in 3 quarters. When 1 quarter, he looked like he belonged back on the bench.
And I'm fine with that. I don't want to crown him either, but I'm just saying what stood out to me is just being able to do the simple things right. And I don't think Fields can do the timing routes. And that's how your offense is built because you don't have explosive playmakers. Even Pickens, he's not like
I agree.
a Tyreek Hill guy. So
no, Pickens can't separate. But I want to see what happens when those moon balls aren't getting caught by George Pickens and they're falling on the ground or they're getting intercepted. Freiermuth isn't making one-handed catches and running for 30 yards.
Yeah, and I think all this is fair.
Then.
But I'll admit my biggest L of the weekend was doubting
They
Tomlin.
legit couldn't do a single thing wrong on that field last night.
No, yeah, and they had every break go their way. But like I said, I think that his ability to run the offense properly and put the skill players in a position to succeed by hitting them right on time. They know exactly when the ball's coming. They know I make the break and the ball's already out of his hands. Fields, I think there's too much improvisation going on. And if he's ever going to make it in the NFL, and it's not too late for him, hopefully he's watching and studying, and Russ is working with him. Russ seems like a good guy. Seems like he'll help him with that. But he's saying, look at how much I nail these small, specific fundamentals. Throwing a screen pass shouldn't be that hard. But Russ made the offense look so much better just by simply hitting Warren and Stride on those screens, on those little dump offs. So that was my final takeaway from that game. And this might be the right offense for him. This might be the right situation for him. We see him doing handshakes with his buddies. It doesn't seem like he's unpopular like he was in Denver. So I think you have a lot to get excited about as a Steelers fan, Tyler. But I agree with you, right? And not to mention, I think the Jets are a team in disarray. So we'll see. I mean, what did they give up the week before? This is 2 weeks they gave up more than 30 points, right?
Yep.
So
yeah,
even though this defense has great individual players, is it a great defense without Saleh at the head coach helm and Ulbrich being able to concentrate on the defense? I don't know. I don't know if it is. So, but I was just happy that, because I'm pro Tomlin, I'm anti Rodgers, and that was a great victory for me. Let's move into tonight, Tyler. We have 2 great games to talk about. I've only bet one of them. So I want you to help me for this first game. The Baltimore Ravens are 4-2. They're in Tampa Bay. They're taking on the Buccaneers. They're 4-2. We talked about this a little bit on Monday. I really like the Buccaneers, but you made a great point about Lamar against the NFC. This line could potentially move to 4. I'm expecting the Ravens to take some money during the course of the day, so I'm going to watch out for that. However, do you think that even at 4, it's still going to be a Ravens blowout?
Yeah, I'm on the Ravens here today. I mean, Lamar versus the NFC. He's crushed the NFC. I don't think this is a good matchup for Tampa Bay. They're going to want to try and get Bucky Irving going. They're not going to be able to really run the ball. Mike Evans is banged up. He might not play the entire game. Now you're just relying on Godwin, and I'm not sure they can keep up with Baltimore's offense at this point. Their defense hasn't been good. They just let Rattler throw for almost 250 yards. In that last matchup, he scored 27 points. Now you're getting a fully healthy Baltimore team rolling in here. Give me Baltimore. Baltimore just smokes them.
All right, so Tyler likes Baltimore. I like Tampa plus the points here, but I have not bet it. I'm just telling you what I lean. Just like last week, I kind of said, hey, I kind of like the Giants plus the points. And Tyler said, I love the Eagles. So that's what we ended up betting. So
they're already down Jamal Dean, starting corner. Vita Vea didn't practice on Saturday. He's listed questionable. Levante David didn't practice on Saturday. Doesn't have a tag. My guess is he's not playing. Winfield was a limited participant on Saturday. There's a lot of key pieces that are not practicing for Tampa Bay.
How do you think the Baltimore has been excellent at stopping the run, but not too good against the pass? What do you think of this over 50, Tyler? Do you think Tampa Bay will be able to keep up, or do you think the Baltimore is going to win on both sides of the ball? Because I agree with you. I think the Baltimore offense is going to find success.
I think Baltimore could win on both sides of the ball, to be completely honest with you. But
so you wouldn't touch that over?
No, I probably wouldn't touch the over.
Okay. Anything more on this one? Did you have any props that you're playing? Is there anything other specifically that you're looking at?
I don't hate Zay Flowers at 62.5 receiving yards. Okay. It seems pretty low.
All right. Fair enough.
Looking at the rushing yards, Derrick Henry's 85.5. That's right around his range. Vita Vea's out. I want that 85.5.
Fair enough. Tim saying, any thoughts on the Tampa Bay running backs of White plays? Will he get most of the workload? I do not think he will. Bucky Irvin looked okay last week, and that kid Sean Tucker looked good. And if you listen to Todd Bowles, who I think on the Coach Speak Index rates pretty reliable, he said they're going to go with the hot hand. And he's talked before in the off season, and hey, we need to limit Rachaad White's carries. We ran him too much last year. I know the fantasy players are going to hate that, but I know that Bowles is going to be motivated to use all three of those backs. And from watching the game, Tyler, I mean, I don't think there's that much of a drop off, right? This isn't a James Conner, Trey Benson situation, and we'll talk about those backs going forward. But I thought that the backups looked almost as good as Irving. So I do not think that White gets 80% of the carries. I think that it's going to be even split. And I think that if Tucker is running hard like he did last week, he might end up getting more than 50% of the carries. I don't think Bowles is worried about Rachaad White's feelings at all. And if Tucker's playing well, I could see him taking over that one. What do you think, Tyler?
I think he already said that he's going to give all three running backs a series to start the game, and whoever does best is going to get all the work. So
yeah, that's exactly what he said. Okay, great call. All right, Tyler, here's the game that I absolutely love, and I can't understand why the Cardinals are taking money, bro. I bet this earlier this week at 2.5. It's -1. I reinvested, and I usually don't do that, so I got more than usual on this game. I like the Los Angeles Chargers here, man. I got the better coach. I got the better quarterback. I got the better offensive line. The only thing that the Cardinals really have is playmakers and weapons. But I think this is going to be a huge night for J.K. Dobbins, and I like the Chargers to get the win against the Cardinals. I don't believe in this Cardinals team at all. I think that Kyler Murray's rubbing some of his teammates, particularly their rookie wide receiver, the wrong way with his inability to take accountability, and that's coming out. And the fact that that's coming out means that maybe Jonathan Gannon wants it to come out. And I just don't trust that Cardinals defense. I think the Chargers are going to win here. I have a way better coach, and I have a way better quarterback. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the injury report, it looks like the only real piece they're going to be missing could be Joey Bosa. I mean, Quentin Johnston's probably going to miss. Ladd McConkey's going to miss, but their wide receivers weren't good to start with.
And so, McConkey might play. McConkey's true 50-50.
Yeah, he's a questionable. Johnson's doubtful, so I don't think he plays.
Johnson's not
all that worried.
Mm-mm.
You look on the other side, though, it's like the starting corner for the Cardinals might be out. Kaiser White, their best outside linebacker, might be out. Marvin Harrison's dealing with a concussion. He's probably back, though. They're already down a D lineman and a linebacker. Like,
they're down 2 D linemen, which is another reason why I like the Chargers. There's one D lineman that's not even on the report because he's out for the year, Tyler.
No, he's on. They have Darius Robinson on the report here.
Yeah, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but he doesn't even show up on the reports anymore because he's been ruled out for the year, like after week 3. So my point is they're missing their 2 starting inside, and who's going to take advantage of that more than Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh, J.K. Dobbins, and the crew? I think that it's going to be a heavy dose of running. This game starts 45 minutes later. They might finish at the same time. We might be at the 2-minute warning at the exact same time here on this game, but I love the Chargers. Are you going to join me, Tyler? Are we going to charge?
Yeah, I'm on the Chargers.
Okay, great. All right, well, looks like we agree there. I don't have a play on the total just because I'm so heavy on the Chargers. I just didn't want to double down.
Yeah, I got nothing on the total. Just give me J.K. Dobbins rushing prop.
That's the other thing I was going to say, too. I also think that I did a DFS show, and I think one of the toughest decisions you make on this slate is McBride or Harrison. I think I like McBride a little more than Harrison tonight. So if you're looking for Cardinals props, you disagree, you think the Cardinals are going to win, I would target it through Trey McBride rather than Marvin Harrison. So that's it for our show. Tyler, did you have any other thoughts about the NFL Week 7?
Nope, that's pretty much it for it. Be right back tomorrow talking about Week 8.
Yeah, is there anything that you absolutely love? Normally I look at the line Sunday night, but I did not last night. I had Steelers. I was just loving the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. I was loving Mike Tomlin, and I just had so much joy in my heart. I didn't want to look ahead.
I don't hate Green Bay -4.5 against the Jags returning from London.
Yeah, and the Jags players might have been like, man, we couldn't even lose against the Patriots, but we still want Peterson out of here. Meg and I are agreeing. Love the Chargers tonight. Meg, I have a question for you. Do you think that Herbert?
Washington.
Bears 2.5. Where's that? Oh, that one's not on my board. I don't see that one. What line do you have there? You have the Bears at minus 2.5.
Yeah.
Interesting. Meg, I have a question. Do you think that Herbert's been very quiet statistically this year? Do you think he finally puts up a big night tonight? Or is it just going to be run till the daddy takes the T-bird away? That's my final question. Any other lines you like, Tyler? There's a lot of bigger lines this week. Lions are laying 12. Jets are laying 7, and they'll probably cover that. And that's going to suck next week when we have to review that game, Tyler. Bills are laying 3 in Seattle. That's interesting. Bengals are laying 3 against the Eagles. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I got to look more into that game.
All right. Yeah, that'll be a fun one to talk about. Chiefs are laying 10 in Las Vegas. I could see us covering that game. I can see it being like last week where you never, ever think the Raiders are going to win, and they only win by 8 or 9. Broncos are laying 8 against the Panthers. I'd rather lay 8 with the Broncos than 10 with the Chiefs, as crazy as that sounds. I still can't believe the Niners are minus 6. That was going to be my smash play of the week. That's crazy. Do you think that's crazy?
No.
I thought the line was going to be like 3 or 3.5. All right. I like the Vikings versus Rams right now. And that's the only one I would say for the people watching, bet right now. I can't see the Rams taking money. Can you?
No, the Rams aren't taking money. That'll be 3.5 by kickoff.
Yeah, might as well take that one right now. All right. That's it for us. And Meg does think that this he could go over 200 yards so far this season. And it's so interesting about statistics because I think he's played well this year. However, statistically, he's not been very impressive at all. I don't know if the Raiders can win there, Tim. I guess it's the ultimate letdown spot, but I don't know. Because the Raiders did beat them on Christmas last year, I don't know if they overlook them like they traditionally do. Because before that, I think they had beat them 7 or 8 straight times. So maybe coming off a loss, it's a little different. But we'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Jamie with us. And guys, I hope you're not sick of it yet, because don't think I'm not going to let Jamie hear it. Because Jamie took the 49ers too. And I was Team Chiefs. All right, Crosby and Bowers, my 2 favorite players in the world. Tyler, final thoughts before I end the stream.
Yeah, I mean, tune in tomorrow for week 8. We'll break that down.